Now, welcome to HTML 00002. In this section, we'll be taking us in some history of HTML, definition, and presenting the HTML in a full. In a previous video, we discussed about the basic things you need to having or designing a good website. On that, we told us about having some text editors, which are like Dreamweaver and text editor that is Notepad in your system. In system, especially in all the system, like all the Windows, I know of all the Windows you have Notepad, both Windows 7, 10 and 8, you have Notepad on it. And I told us that it's very, very essential we make use of Notepad as a beginner. It's very, very important you start designing a website with it, because it will give you the basics, it will give you the flair, give you the understanding of what you want to do. Now, what is HTML? HTML simply means this code. It simply means this code. This is what we are talking about. Now, in a simple term, HTML is a hypertext markup language. It is an element that we use in holding or presenting our documents to a browser. When we talk of browser, we're talking about something like Google Chrome. We're talking about Internet Explorer. We're talking about, there are different type of we're talking about Internet Explorer. We're talking about Firefox. All those things are browsers, and in everything that displays in browser, are housed with these two code. At the top is this first one is a opening tag. They are elements, but they have opening and closing tag. This is opening tag and closing tag. What you use to identify the difference is this slash. You look at this first one, you see angle brackets, HTML, close angle brackets, opening angle brackets, HTML, and close angle brackets, HTML. You come down, you see open angle brackets slash HTML and close angle brackets. These are the area where everything that displays in your website will come in. Like we said that HTML is a hypertext markup language. It was invented by a scientist known as Tim Berners-Lee. That was in 1989 and 1990. During 1989 and 1990, he first called the HTML Road Wide Web. It's a road to wide web, and he used a process. The process whereby he used in inventing this language is when he was trying to find out a language that will link other languages together. A language, he was trying to see whether he can find a language that will link other languages together. And remember, before HTML came in, no, HTML is an application under HTML. HTML was what it was the languages that were being used before to present documents on a website or present documents on internet before Tim Berners-Lee came in during 1989 and 1990. HTML came in around that kind of 1980s, but this one came in around 1989. So he was trying to, like I said, to find out a language that can connect other languages together. HTML stands for Standard General Markup Language. Standard General Markup Language. That is what they know then. They were using it as a Standard General Markup Language, and it was designed in the early 1980s. Like I told you, it was designed. It was a design structure. That is HTML now. It was a design structure language for a given structures. It was a design structure language for a given structures. That is a given structures, as in the structure of a language. They use it to present individual languages together. But when HTML came in, it now started to link all those languages together. We say that the HTML tag, like I told you, that these things are elements. They are also called tags. HTML tags. This one is opening tag, and this one is called closing tag. It is very important you note this, because every other code that we will write will be inside this code, inside this opening tag and the closing tag. The HTML language was borrowed. All the languages that we use here was borrowed from HTML, as we know that HTML is a Standard General Markup Language. The HTML, which is Hypertext Markup Language, was borrowed from HTML, and later people that were using HTML coding, HTML languages that were making use of HTML syntax, they found out that HTML, they found the beauty of using HTML to design a website, and they now adopted it, and they said that HTML became now the application under HTML. Now, as we dive into this course, we will see that he used more. Tim Berners-Lee used more of a DDT, that is data type, that is document type description, to write everything he wrote in HTML. So we'll go into the details of a DDT in this design, but for now, what I want you to know and understand is that HTML is a hypertext markup language. It's very, very important that you understand it. Like I said, it's very, very important you know the definition of HTML, because, like in this course, I say we will not be going into CSS yet. The courses we want to go into is CSS, Java, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP. But we have it in different channels. So anyone you want to study, anyone you want to learn, just click the channel you follow, begin from the basics and learn through. For this one, I want us to go fully and learn what HTML is, because it's so important. Even when you maybe in course of your designing a website, a customer might tell you that he want to use all this CMS, that is content management system, CMS, that is content management system. This content management system is a system, is a software, is an application on server that uses click and drop. Like if you already know your HTML, you can use those applications. You can use those softwares to design your website without anybody knowing that you were not the one that wrote the code. It's a very simple way of getting, and it's very is simple, durable, and also easy to use. But you need to understand your HTML, the essential part of the HTML, or the basic part of the HTML, before you can easily use those CMS application or softwares on the internet. Now, like I said, that HTML, the opening tag and the closing tag is what houses all the codes, or all the pictures or documents you see on your browsers. Now, after this HTML, there are sections, or there are ways that we section our codes for the browser to understand it, because browser is very critical point. It's a place whereby is a place that we read this code whenever they are displaying, whenever it is being displayed in the internet. Browser try to understand. Browser has interpreter that interpret all these codes one by one. Any type of code you present to a browser, you try to interpret it based on what has already been inputted into it, because all these codes has already been designed in a browser to understand any type of languages that comes in. So if you are writing in if I am fast, please try to, because sometimes I'll try to cover up time. I want to make this thing 20-30 minutes, so that the films will be shorter for someone that wants to watch it one by one. Meanwhile, if you need the full combined tutorial videos on this, you just chat me up on my YouTube channel. I will send it to you, but it will be with some price, Now, like I say, there are segments, sections, how you present your codes. In the first section, we have header tag, the same opening and closing tag. I like copying and pasting. Because it makes writing the code easier for me. If I just have this thing, I like copying and pasting. Now, in this header, header is, for instance, let me show you this. You see this browser. This browser is Chrome. It's Google Chrome. Now, or let me show you the one that I've opened the web page. Look at this web page now. Look at this web page. This is where everything comes in. You see, this is the header of the, everything here is in the header. Understand? This is the header of this domain name. Look at this domain name. Other web browser like Internet Explorer displays his own web page in a different way. But before we go into this, like what I told you, in this header we will have a title. We have title. I told you that I like copying, so whenever I write, I just try to copy it and duplicate it. Sorry, I need to go back and do quick. So we have header, title. Look at what I'm doing. Inside header, inside the HTML, I have header, and inside header I have title. Do you know where this title comes in? When you open a browser, sometimes you always see in your, whenever you type in a domain name, a detail of the website will be showing on this area. Detail of the website will be showing on this heading. That is what header does. Let's just do some practical part of it. Now, let's say we are designing a shop. We are designing a website for maybe a classroom, or somebody that sells yam, or you are designing a website for your child. The name of your child should be used as the domain name, and the title of your child is okay. Let's say we want to design a website for somebody that sells vegetable in the market. Now, at the title we will say vegetable. We say vegetable seller. Sorry. Yes, or we say what is the simple way? Or you are designing a website for your child that wants to start a school. Now, no, or you want to design a site for somebody that sells electronics in the market. We say electronic. Sorry, I want to use this in electronics shop. Electronics shops or shop. Now, for you to save this, see, look at what I'm doing. At the first instance, I first of all write the header and write the title of the web page we want. Now, we are offline. We don't want to upload this thing to server first. We are offline. Now, for us to save this thing and for it to display in our browser, what we do, we save it first. Save as, not save. We are saving as because this thing doesn't have any roots. It doesn't have any directory for now. We are just trying to create it first. What I want to show you is what header does in web design. What header does in our web page. We now say save as. I want to save this thing in the desktop so that it will be easy for us to locate it in the course of our study. Let me minimize this. Let me minimize it. This is it. I want to save it in our desktop somewhere this place. So what I do, I clicked a desktop. Let me go back and show you. I first of all click the file because I want to save this document. I don't have it existing anywhere in my system, so I need to save it in my system first so that I can locate it, or I can add code to it anytime I want. So to save it, I will click File, Save As. I want to save it in my desktop, that is this place. I click my desktop, then I will come here. If you look at this place, you see text, save as text, save as type, text document. I don't want to save it as text document. I want to save it as all file. I want it to be like all files. Then I will now, the file name should be maybe my kid dot html. See, take a cognizance of this. You see, I use .html. Any program you are making use of, this dot html, this dot any extension is very, very important. If you are using PHP, it should be .php. If you are using CSS, it should be .css. If you are using JavaScript, it should be .script. It is very, very essential. Now I will save this thing in my, look at it, it has come to my desktop. So if I open this thing, if I click open, you see what is here. Look at this place. Just take a look at electronic shop. That is what header does. Anything that is, anything you see here is where the site. I can also see, because this is my site, this is my web page, this is my web my computer, and everything is controlled by my local host. I can also say local host slash my kit dot html, the same thing way. Sorry, you did not see it. Okay, is it my kids or my kid? Let's go. Okay, it's not in my local host, it's in my desktop, so it can't locate it. Sorry. So what we have, we need to click it for it to come in. Now for us to get, now like we said, or I told you what header does. In the same thing in this website, if you look at here, you see the same thing you see here. That is what you are seeing this place. You see, first thing verification. This thing is the electronic shops. So that is the work of this title. So after title, you will have style. After title, you will have style. Sorry, you will have style. After title, you have style. So what comes in this style? is the CSS. But we are not discussing CSS in this hour. We will not be discussing CSS in this section. We have a channel for CSS, so I will preserve this topic, that CSS topic, for that channel. If you want to understand well, if you want to understand CSS, I think it's better you go to a CSS channel to look at what is here. Now I say title CSS. In this title also, you can also present the detail of your website. You can also present the detail of your website, only whatever you want it to display. Now after CSS, this header will be closed. The next thing is the body of our website. The body looks like this. The body looks like this, and the body comes after the header. Look at what is here. Everything is inside our HTML. Now inside our HTML we have header. Inside the header we have title and style. Why this style is here is because we don't want anything that will delay our site for it to load, because normally we'll always have inline and external CSS. So we would like to use external CSS in this web design for it not to delay our content to load in our browsers. So we have header that contains style and the title. Then we now have the body. What this body does, in this body contains everything that you are seeing at this point. Whatever you see at this page, this search using car or anything that comes into this area is designed in our body. Now let's give, for instance, I say hello world. If I save, now for me to add this thing into this browser, or into my folder, my directory, I will only use save. I am no more using save as, because it is already existing. I will save it, or I will press Ctrl save, and the thing will be saved into this. If I click again, you see, if I open again and refresh, sorry, my body, hello world, header, hello world, body, save as, body, I click save. If I click save, it should, and like what I said, sorry, I just left to do something. See, like what I said, I say the whatever is displayed in our browser is located in this body. What I'm trying to say is this: whatever you see here, sorry, whatever you see here, whatever you see at this point is housed by this body tag, these two body tag. So every other thing that will come into this, will come to this browser, should be located at this point, no more at this level. This level will have the structure of your site, but this will house everything, both image and other things that will display in your browser. Now, like what I say, hello world, inside this body, when I click this, you see here, if I refresh, okay, it's already, sorry, let me minimize this so you can see it. At this point, look at it, hello world, is already in this, our browser. See, we're getting somewhere. This is how because there is nothing like positioning, there is nothing like CSS, there is nothing like a div. This is just how our code will look like if we have not, if we have no structure in place. This code you see here is what is displaying this hello world. There is what I will do in the next video for you to understand very well what I am saying. I want to bring in a word processing document, which is a Microsoft Word, because I want to use it as an example whenever I am teaching or giving tutorial in web design. I always refer to Microsoft Word, because what we are trying to put in a code is already written offline, is already written as an application, as a software, and presented to us in a Microsoft Word. So whenever I am designing a word, teaching anything about web design, I always refer to Microsoft Word, because it gives you that learning speed to understand what we are trying to teach you in web design. But meanwhile, this will be in another video. This video we told us what HTML is. We gave us the steps, the sections that we need to see in designing websites. We are just telling you the basics and the things that you need to know before you start designing or talking about web. It's a very difficult thing. It's a very difficult, but when you understand it, when you have written the code, what you start doing is just to copy and paste and give your audience what they want. At this place, I told you that HTML houses everything that displays in a browser, and the sections are header. In header we have title. Title is what display in the head of our browsers, and we have style. I told you that style, we will go into style when we are discussing CSS, because this is what we use to position our divs. I told you that body, after header we have a section that is called body. At this body, that is where everything we see in the website lies in. Now in our next video, which is our HTML 003, we'll be discussing about the necessary elements, the important elements that we need, like we need in the website, as in to beautify, to make our document very to look nice for any person that is visiting, for any visitor in our site. And we'll be talking about colors. We'll be talking about I say colors, style, that is inline style with HTML. We're talking about font size. We're talking about font font size, we're talking about bold, we're talking about italics and all other things. Those are the basics parts that I want you to learn and understand before we go into proper CSS and JavaScript. So thank you for watching this video, and see. Good afternoon. You're welcome to this course. You're welcome to our web design course. In this section, we'll be introducing a HTML tutorial. We'll be introducing our HTML course. As we all know that HTML is the core of web design. With only HTML, one can design a website and present it into the internet. But in the course of this study, we'll be looking at three things, or four languages that are necessary as a web designer. And those languages which we will look at in all our videos should be HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP. We have different channels for each of these courses. But first, we will look into HTML. Before we go into HTML, I want to show us the things you need to know before even you start thinking of learning or designing a website. First, in your system, you should have what we call text editors or text editor. In text editor today, we'll be looking at Notepad. For you to locate a Notepad on your system, if you're using Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10, just click on the start at the left end of your system. Right click on it, you will see, you scroll to run. Click on run, you will see a platform like this. If this Notepad is not written, or if you are not seeing anything like Notepad here, just type it, Notepad, then you click OK. If you click OK, a platform like this will open, and this platform is where you type all the code you want to use in your web development. But this is not only the platform you can easily use to design a website. You can as well use what we call Sublime. Sublime is not in this system, and also the general web design text editor Macromedia Dreamweaver. It is very, very important. Macromedia Dreamweaver looks like this. It is very, very important that you know all this. You master this application. It is very, very important that you master it. But first, I will always advise my students, if you are a fresher, if you are still in the basic part of learning how to design a website, I always urge them to use this Notepad, because Notepad will help you to learn all the processes It will help you to understand everything about web design. Using HTML, using a Micromedia Dreamweaver, this application gives you access to already made code. The codes here has already been generated. It's just for you to locate it and place it where it's supposed to be. But in Notepad, you are the one to generate your code. The difference here is just like someone using ordinary notebook to write an essay or write a code, and someone using a phone. A phone will direct you using a maybe electronic gadget. Electronic gadget might direct you to locate some text or languages or even sentences that you want to use. But in this, you have to generate the sentences yourself. So it is very important you learn with a notepad. Now, before we go fully into web design, there are steps one should follow to go into designing a good website. Those steps are what I call 3 steps of a web design. Those 3 steps of web design is wireframe, markup, and design proper. Wireframe is just a step that you take like a designer or an architect. Before an architect starts building a house, he must have a plan. He must have a building design and a plan in which he has to look at before laying a foundation, or before laying a block on the, or even before digging the ground for a foundation. Now, as a web builder or as a web developer, the first thing you do, if a customer approach you or a client approach you to design a website for him, the first step you take is putting a sketch by drawing what the applicant need, what the client need. A client might be the one to design with a pencil or a pen by putting a sketch of what he or she wants, or if he is telling you what to do or how he wants the business is doing or the type of website he wants, it is for you to sketch and present to him for approval. Now, in first step, we talk about wireframe. Like in my definition here, I say that wireframe is the first process every web designer takes to execute his work. It involves the schematic diagram of the site, how it will look like in the individual frame, coordinates, the layer involved, etc. I say before we start a web design, we must have known what structure or the type of audience we want to reach. That will help us know how to navigate the structure of the website. If you come to this area, you see my wireframe design. You see at the top we have the header. The header contains the description of your website, the logo, and other necessary things that the search engine will first of all find before they will try to evaluate your site. After header, you will have the navigation bar. The navigation bar are those area where in a website you see home, content, on contact, about, community, and other pages. Those pages are essential part of the website, and we call it navigation bar. Some websites will have, after navigation bar, a slideshow environment where some of the necessary pages or some of the necessary images display in your website. Also, you have the body, the main body, we call it content of the website, sorry. And then we have a sidebar, a navigation sidebar, and also the footer. That is all about wireframing. That is all about wireframing. Like we said, we say it is a process whereby one use pencil or biro to draw a diagram of what he want to present to his or her audience. Now, after wireframing, you have gotten a picture of what you want to do. Remember, for you to do this wireframing, you need to do it to every pages of the website. This will give you a very easy access on what you want to do. It will give you a detail of what your audience or what a customer need for his or her site. After presenting or after sketching the wireframe, the next thing is what we call marking up. What we use in marking up, we normally use Microsoft Word to mark, either Microsoft Word, CorelDRAW, or Photoshop. Anything that can present a picture and a color in our design, that is what we use in marking up. Ordinarily, what markups means is just you presenting colors, pictures, and positions of how your site or the site of a customer, a site of a client should be. All these steps is to make your work easy for you. If you don't have all these things, you will be confused when you get into code writing. So now you have to present these colors and the pictures of what you want. You present it to your client as this is how I want your site to look like, or even the client can present this thing to you before telling you or asking you to design a website for him. So in a markup I say is a process of arranging pictorially the structure of the website. In this case, we should always present we should always present the index page markup, which is followed by other pages of the website. What do I mean here? Presenting the index page first. What I mean is that if you must design a website, the index page ordinarily is the home page. It is the first page every visitor will see whenever he or she types a domain name of any website. And it is very, very paramount, very, very important that in your homepage or your index page, you present all the information about your company or about your website for individual to see. Why? Because they would like to know what they want to buy, or what they are going in for. If in your shop you don't display the most elements that you sell in your shop, you will see that if a visitor just come in, just scanning, using his eye to scan in your shop, he will know that you don't have what he wants to buy, and he will leave your shop. But if the information of what you want to do or what you have is already in your shop, is presented in the counter, the counter now is what we call the index page. It's the first page every visitor sees in the website, and it carries both the header, like we said. I showed you how you can wireframe your website at the first step of designing a website. Now I said you represent it pictorially by using a markup. The same thing I did in wireframe. The logo, the header, the navigation bar, slideshow, or anything can come here. You have a sidebar, the body of your website, and the site footer. At this point, you have given your audience, or you have given your customer, you have given your client what or how his site will look like. At this point, this thing will also be done in different pages of the website for it to be easy. Your work will be easier when all these things are done. You present the pictures and the colors. You can place it in a wall while you design the website. It will be easy for you to write the code. Now, after marking up, you go to what we call design proper. At this point, this is a very crucial point of web design. If you don't know here, you don't need to come into web designing. This is a place where technology comes in. This is a place where understanding computer sciences, understanding the codes, studying your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP are made important. If you don't know here, there is no need you bragging that you are a web designer. Even with the CMS, programs on the net, without you knowing at least your HTML, you can never know how to manage a website. Now, I say that this is the concept of converting markup into HTML codes. You marked up everything you want in your website. So now is the time to convert those markup into HTML codes, CSS code, JavaScript code, or PHP code. It is a place where you present everything as you have marked it. I say it involves code writing and analysis. It is where most of the work are done, and you should have a knowledge of some web design languages for you to implement this section, or anybody that has the technique can do that for you. For good and professional responsive web site, you must have the knowledge of the following languages. Look at those languages. For you to have a responsive, professional, and a good website, we say excuse me, you must have the knowledge of these following languages. What are those languages? They are HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and PHP. You mustn't know it all. You can just study your HTML, be perfect in the HTML and CSS. I always urge my students to build a team of programmers. It is very, very helpful for you to have a team, because you must not know it all. You might have the idea of them, but you will not be professional in all of them. You might be professional in one, but in all, you need to, just like an architect. Architect might be somebody that will build the house from the foundation to the top. He will not be the one to zinc it. He will not be the one to fix the doors and everything. But if he has different team that can implement and execute his idea, it is very simple for it. It will be very, 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 very understanding and simple for him to build a house. The same thing with you. For you to design a website, you need to have a team. I did not include graphic design. Knowing how to design a website, you should also know your graphics. It is very, very important, because you have to cut some pictures, you have to cut some images and present it in your website. It's very, very essential you know all these things. Now, like we said, we will be treating, we'll be diving, and we'll be getting more, we'll be dealing more in HTML in this tutorial. Now, what is HTML? But before we go deep into HTML, I think it is very necessary you know what we have treated. I told you about the applications that you need to know or have before you start planning for a web design, and I told you about presenting the picture of what you want to do before you come into it. I told you the languages that you need to know before you become a professional web designer. In this note, I will stop this video this place, but I need you to subscribe in this video, because in the next video we'll be defining HTML and we'll be presenting the codes and what HTML is. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next